Does it ever feel like your teammates are indifferent, borderline, cold towards you? You've tried to convince yourself that you were hired to produce results and not necessarily to be liked. But at this point, you can no longer ignore the friction and the resistance that is coming your way, what you're facing working in this organization. It even feels unfair considering that you are not a people person, and the harder you try, the more resistance you face. In this video, we are going to look at how to be likable as a leader despite your personality type. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Nancy, and here's where I mostly discuss topics on matters leadership, professional growth, and career advancement. So if you feel drawn to this kind of content, kindly consider subscribing and pressing the bell, and you will be notified whenever I release a new video. Let me also take this opportunity to welcome my new subscribers to this wonderful workplace leadership community. I don't take your commitment and support for granted. The plan is to learn, the plan is to grow and to effortlessly evolve in your career as you build a legacy that you're going to be proud of. So if a topic comes to mind that you'd like me to address, kindly leave me a message in the comments and I'll happily do a video on it. I'm very happy to have you here. If you've ever found yourself struggling to build trust with your colleagues because your team members are deliberately withholding valuable information, feedback, or even concerns from you, the question you want to ask yourself is, would you rather be feared or be liked? Would you rather be loved or respected? And you find that your team members do not want to take initiative when you are the manager on duty. They don't mind compromising the success of projects, a clear sign that you are not everyone's cup of tea. Or you find it challenging to inspire them, which makes it even harder to implement necessary changes within the department, within the organization, something that your peers seem to be succeeding at effortlessly. These same team members, some of whom have a track record of outperforming themselves, are doing the bare minimum under your leadership just to get by. Could you be one factor that is worth looking into? There are obvious elements that are going to give you a clue that you are not as likable as you should be in your role, starting with lack of communication from your team members. If you've noticed that your team members seem guarded and reserved when you're present in the room, and you see that they feel uncomfortable, even unmotivated to communicate, they hesitate to come to you with ideas because there's just something about you that makes you come across as unapproachable in their eyes, you may be the issue worth addressing. Or maybe the frequent misinterpretation of directives. You find that whenever you give a directive, the instructions will be inconsistently followed, leading to recurring miscommunication and even errors. This is a subtle sign that your team members are not in a hurry to seek clarification. They are uncomfortable asking questions, which directly translates to underlying relational friction. Or maybe let's even look at the limited initiative and effort from your team members. And this is something that I alluded to earlier in this video. When you notice that your team members are doing the bare minimum to meet expectations just to not get in trouble, their excitement levels are low, they're not willing to go over and above their overall performance as they would with your peers. That is their way of saying that your leadership style no longer inspires or motivates or even challenges them. This next clue would only apply to you if you are further up in the food chain, where you have a voice in the hiring and firing process. Have you noticed an increase in resignations or sick days within specific departments under your leadership? And this goes along with frequent complaints or even dissatisfaction, murmuring out loud so that word can get back to you. When you find that your team members are actively seeking to leave the organization, chances are high that you have created an environment that is not conducive for their survival at work. So they feel suffocated and the situation is almost beyond redemption. So they will use absenteeism to cope and eventually leave for a more conducive work environment when an opportunity shows up. These are moments where you may be tempted to get emotional, to take things personally, but the truth is people look out for their safety first, and we each have a unique personality type which can affect our interactions at work both positively and otherwise. So hopefully by the end of this video, you will be able to key in on how to remain approachable and relatable as a leader, regardless of your personality traits. And like all the other aspects of your life, your personality type is going to impact your leadership style. This means that you want to understand yourself inside and out. What brings out your strengths, then sharpen it. What highlights your weaknesses so that you can work towards a comfortable balance without compromising your integrity. And you may have come across the different personality frameworks that make for who we are. Just for the sake of this video, I'm going to mention them in passing, starting with the Myers-Briggs, which is the most common. And this one operates around the 4 dichotomies of extraversion versus introversion, sensing versus intuition, thinking versus feeling, judging versus perceiving. And a combination of each from the 4 dichotomies is bound to bring out your personality type and also expose you to your individual strengths and weaknesses. So this one is most useful in building awareness and personal growth. And then there's the Enneagram framework, which classifies humans into 9 distinct categories, each associated with a unique fear, basic desire, predictable pattern of behavior in stressful situations, and seasons of insecurity. So this personality framework uncovers self-limiting beliefs, vulnerabilities, social dynamics, everything that helps reveal your unique path towards growth and transformation. This one is most useful in transforming interpersonal relationships. So if you feel like you're not a people person, you may want to lean into and understand this framework. And then if you've come across the Big 5 framework, you're going to notice that it breaks down personality traits into 5 dimensions: openness, conscientiousness, extraversion, agreeableness, neuroticism. And this one is mostly used by companies when hiring and recruiting to discern, to figure out your behavior at work and how you'd respond to stressful situations. And you may also have come across the DISC model, which is meant to help you better understand how people interact and then tailor your communication style to their preferences. And this one focuses more on your people skills. It's all about collaboration and communication. So the DISC model will not only help you to understand your customers, both internal and external, but it's also going to help you connect with prospective buyers and investors at a personal level. Understanding your individual strengths and weaknesses is the first step to becoming a likable leader. Why? Because every personality type has its strengths and weaknesses, and the human touch can never go out of style. Just a few major examples. If you're an extrovert, you can actually use your passion and personality as a leadership tool. You take easily to social situations. People count on you to make decisions quickly and efficiently, and you have that inherent advantage of being viewed as an effective leader because of your charismatic, enthusiastic, optimistic, and outgoing nature. So you'll notice that people enjoy talking with you, and it goes without saying that you are going to attract a wide network of people. So to you, the external world makes so much sense. You just want to keep in mind that being an extrovert is not synonymous with excellent people skills. A good leader is a great listener, and this is something that does not come naturally to extroverts. So you want to consciously make room for your team members to express themselves without interfering in their speech. And you may also need to regulate your energy levels to avoid people getting so overwhelmed around you. In leadership, you need that ability to accommodate the different personality types and leave everyone feeling comfortable, seen, and heard. So you may also need to guard from taking on too much responsibility and commitments because you want to make everybody happy and you probably want to stay popular, but at the expense of your mental health. If you're an introvert, on the other hand, you know that your inner world makes greater sense to you. So you're going to find that you have this unique ability to think deeply, reflectively, focus on one task at a time. You are a good listener and you're generally creative at solving problems. And you have this calm nature about you that allows you to think fast, but talk after thorough deliberation. So contrary to extroverted counterparts, it is easier for you to follow through on commitments and build lasting trust and relationship and connections with your team members. But to every coin, there are two sides. Much as you love spending time alone, you can also get lonely. You easily feel self-conscious, making your comfort zone your actual happy place. And just like the extrovert, you may notice that you also fear rejection because it feels good to be liked. It feels good to be appreciated. And you may also find yourself refraining from delegating duties for fear of bothering your team members. But in their eyes, you have put up invisible walls that no one should dare break, making you seem unapproachable and distant. If you're getting value from this video, kindly meet me in the chats, meet me in the comments. I'd like to know, do you consider yourself an introvert or an extrovert? Just type intro or extra and I will reply with what I consider myself to be. So having looked at the two main examples of introversion and extraversion, you're probably asking yourself, how do I navigate my personality type to make the most of my days at work? I have a few strategies that can help you build likability regardless of your personality type. And at number one, active listening. Active listening. You want to dial down your active listening skills. The more audience you give your team members, the stronger the connection and communication that there will be between you. And this is particularly important if you are extroverted, such that your personality comes across as dominant. You want to understand and empathize with your team's needs, but from their standpoint. And you want to give a voice to those who are present and absent in the room by gathering as much information as you can from your teams. And this can only happen if you intently listen with all your senses. Then if you're on the introverted spectrum, active listening is going to call on you to apply your nonverbal skills like expressive eye contact, nodding your head to show interest and concentration, squarely facing your team and to show undivided attention. Then try smiling quietly without showing your teeth to show approachability. Your body language is going to gravitate positively towards what is the most important in the room. At number two, authenticity counts. Likability is not about changing who you are, but bringing more of that and using it to better other people's lives. So when you're aware of what makes you different and you embrace it, you're going to find it easier to orient others towards their authentic selves. And truth is, you can only give what you have. Authenticity is powerful in building trust because people see that you are staying true to yourself, to your core values, which leaves no room for appearing unnatural or dishonest. So they will easily take your yes and no response because they know that it comes from a genuine place. And some people even consider that being authentic is a superpower because if you can be open about your journey, about your strengths, about your weaknesses, connected to your personality, your highs and your lows, you become more relatable, and this is where your emotional honesty is going to be heightened. At number three, celebrate your peers and teammates' successes. You are never too old to be complimented. Neither can you be too young to be celebrated. One of the main contributors to the high turnover rates within organizations is that feeling of not being fully appreciated by the higher ups in the organization. This small but significant action can positively impact how your team members perceive you, regardless of your personality type. Just think of that compliment letter that is delivered to you with your name and staff number on it, with your boss's signature at the bottom of the letter, a stamp and clear note that you are an asset to the organization. These are feelings that boost morale and they increase productivity. And you know that people thrive where they're celebrated. So as a leader, you want to make it a habit to give compliments regardless of your personal feelings. It's always easier to criticize than to compliment. So choose the hard thing to do. Compliment more. The benefits will last longer. At number four, adapt communication styles. When you are clear on your personality type, you're also going to be clear on your major weaknesses. So baby steps come in handy to bridge that personality gap. For example, Introverted leaders who feel safe in their personal space can start by checking in on their team members one at a time, just for a few minutes, because for an introvert, timing is key as they build up on quality connections. Then add more minutes as you get comfortable with this practice. Then for extroverted leaders who come across as overwhelming to their team members, they can tone it down a notch by giving their team members the green light to shine in their element and only come when they are solicited. This is going to give your colleagues the breathing space that they need, and they will be more receptive to you being around them for longer periods of time. And this is also the time when you want to be flexible, you want to be empathetic, you want to be open to feedback. When your team members know that they can offer genuine feedback without the threat of being targeted by unidentified flying objects, that's an inside joke, they will be drawn to you, and this is where your likability is going to increase. And while at it, remember that there's a fine line between being liked and maintaining authority. So this is where you want to work up that sweet balance between respecting your personal space and that of your team members. If you found this video helpful and you would like to receive more tips just like this on leadership, kindly consider subscribing to my channel and pressing the notification bell. I also have this video I did on how to detach your self-worth from your work. It goes hand in hand with managing your likability at work. And let me know your thoughts and your takeaways. See you on the next one. Bye.